We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
What's going on, everyone? It is the Mal from the South, and today we are ranking all 9 of the Trivium albums from worst to best. Disclaimer, these are just my opinions. So, this isn't an official ranking. These are simply what I think, how I would rank the albums, and feel free to tell me why I'm wrong in the comments down below. So, quick criteria as to what makes a Trivium album a Trivium album. First off, we've got the vocals, how on point the vocals are, like whether Matt's screaming or not, wink, how good his voice sounds in general, the guitars, how awesome the guitars sound, the drumming, because in later years, that's a huge pivotal part of Trivium, the overall mix of where the bass lies, all that kind of stuff, how good the songwriting is, how complex the songs are, and obviously that little bit of Trivium sprinkle. Also, I am working with the special editions simply because of a reason that you'll find out later in the ranking. And finally, before we actually get into it, I love Trivium. I'm a huge fan of Trivium. So I'm going to be trying to say something I like about each album, because there is not a Trivium album that I don't like. However, some are just a bit more than others. So fucking bear with me. So, coming in at number 9, we actually start off with the Crusade. The Crusade is by no means a bad album. It's actually a pretty sick album. It's a very good thrash album, but it's not an amazing Trivium album. Trivium obviously have thrash influences, like springing from all over the place. Matt on this album really sounds like a young James Hetfield. And that's the vibe I get listening to this album. It's almost like listening to a really good Metallica demo CD. And anything that reminds me of Metallica is fucking sick. However, when you plaster the Trivium brand on it, it does just get a little, you know, it's just how it is. I'm sorry. But my favourite track off this album is actually To The Rats. I actually think it's a really banging song. It has a lot of cool ideas in it, and it's just got something that hits me. So, number 9, we have The Crusade. At number 8, and this may be slightly controversial, but I've got Ember to Inferno, the debut of Trivium, the first thing we ever heard from the band. The band were very young, Matt especially, and you can tell this is a very early format of what Trivium would later become. Like, if you hear this and then you hear their later stuff, especially like Ascendancy, and you really can understand where they were trying to go, what they were trying to accomplish with this album. However, a lot of it just didn't stick with me. There is only one song that sticks out to me, and that is Pillars of Serpents. It's simply because it's a fucking amazing song. No one can deny it. What a way to open an album. But the rest of it, I don't know. It just doesn't stick with me. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of Trivium fans may love the album. I'm just not there. coming in at number 7, we have Silence in the Snow. Now this is one of the best albums aesthetically. This produced the Snowfall guitar, which is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in the world, and I don't think I've ever wanted a guitar more than when I saw Jim Root's sandblasted Jazzmaster that he uses in the Kill Pop video and many others. But Matt's Snowfall 7-string Les Paul is just orgasmic, and I'm pretty sure my penis released something very, very white when, rather fittingly, when I saw that guitar. Also, that album cover is gorgeous, and it introduced the Trivium skull, which is something that's very much stuck with the band ever since, and I love it. However, the album is lacking. It's lacking in terms of screams. Obviously, you need a classic Matt scream. I mean, how awesome would Silence in the Snow sound if just you had Matt at one point just Silence in the Snow? That would sound fucking awesome. But, you know, it is what it is. He couldn't do it because of his vocal cords. That's understandable. Also on this album, I gotta say, my least favourite drumming. The drums are very basic, standard, almost lackluster at times. But Corey is doing everything he can on this album solo-wise. The songs themselves, without Matt's ability to scream, they really wrote around that and really made it very anthemic, almost operatic at times. And favourites of this album are Silence in the Snow, obviously, Blind Leading the Blind, Dead and Gone. It's a good album if you get past it. However, it is lacking that Trivium touch, and the drumming is just so.
Silence in the snow. We must fight till they all die in their cold blood. Silence in the snow.
So, number 6, and I feel like it might be slightly controversial putting this one where it is, In Waves. Now, don't leave. Please stay and hear me out. Hear me out. Aside from In Waves, which obviously is like the Trivium song, aside from In Waves, what sticks out to you from this album? Not much. Yes, it's got a very iconic album cover. Yes, it's got a very iconic opener with capsizing the sea and then awesome. However, there's not that much that sticks out to me aside from In Waves. Don't get me wrong, Inception of the End is great. Dusk Dismantled is great. Forsake Not the Dream is pretty good. And as I said, working from the special editions, Drowning in Slow Motion. Like, that's a banging song. Should be on the album, but it's not. But In Waves, the 6 and 5 were very hard for me to put side by side. Like, trying to rank these two was hard. But the reason number 5 is where it is simply because there are more songs off album 5 that I prefer than what is on In Waves. And speaking of, coming in at number 5, we have, again rather controversially, Vengeance Falls. Now, this is an album that is very made for the mainstream, I would say. And having David Draymond on mixing duties, what? Why? Why is he producing this? But the album is not bad by any way, shape or form. The album is actually really cool. It's got a very sick cover art, which, you know, is always a win in my book. And the songs on the album, although slightly, I won't say poppy, but more mainstream, more hard rock than whatever Trivium are, is, you know, despite that, they're good songs. No one can deny Brave This Storm. No one can deny Vengeance Falls. No one can deny Strife. No one can deny At the End of This War. And more importantly, on the special edition, on the extended edition, There is one of Trivium's best fucking songs that they've ever made or released in As I'm Exploding. Why is that not on the normal fucking album? Why is that only on a special edition, and why do so many people not know about As I'm Exploding? It is one of Trivium's best songs today. It's got screaming, it's got heavy drums, it's got a sick solo, it's got a melodic anthemic chorus, and also that beginning riff with the double bass, and then with the 1, 2, 3, 4 into the main fucking riff. The song is so good, and pretty much As I'm Exploding is why this album beat out In Waves and made it to number 5. Fucking hell. Coming in at number 4, we are in the top of the Trivium albums. And kicking off, we have The Sin of the Sentence. The Sin of the Sentence is the album that got me into Trivium. I'd heard In Waves and always thought, it's a bit basic. Which, in all fairness, In Waves is a bit basic. However, everyone was raving at the end of 2017 about a band called Trivium and their new album, The Sin of the Sentence. And I just had to listen to it. And fucking hell, I've been one of their biggest fans ever since. Trivium are like gods to me now. And I have The Sin of the Sentence to thank for it. And there are so many good songs on that album. And also it introduced the world to Alex Ben. And fucking hell, you know, you fucking know. But also, The Sin of the Sentence has some of Trivium's best songs in years. The Sin of the Sentence, Beyond Oblivion, The Heart From Your Hate, Betrayer! The Revanchist, Thrown Into the Fire, Sever the Hand, Other Worlds. There are so many great songs on this album. The one gripe I have with this album is that A, it doesn't end with The Revanchist, and I love when albums start super strong and then end super strong. Metallica are really known for closing out an album. Metal Militia, Call of Cthulhu, Damage Incorporated, Dyer's Eve, Spit Out the Bone more recently. Like, they know how to close out a fucking album. So why isn't The Revanchist the last song on the album? I just feel like it should be. It should be. Also, my other gripe with this album is that there are sometimes the riffs feel a bit airy, especially at the beginning of Betrayer. You've got that awesome drum solo in, and then it's just a bit of trend picking. I feel like there needs to be that little bit more just to fill the gap, because it feels like there's too much that's not been filled in. They fix this later, but we'll get to that.
I've been waiting here on the outside. I've been watching you from afar. The color of your fear, confusion deep inside. We're saying it was over and me you can't confide. You say you've lost your world, you say you've lost your faith. I'll be a shelter in the dark, hold you in my hate. Prophecy that breakers, sacrifice the legions.
So, coming in at number 3, this is going to be controversial, I've put Ascendancy. Ascendancy is what blew Trivium up. Ascendancy was one of the metalcore albums of back in the day, and Ascendancy is what made Trivium a household name in metal. However, there are 2 albums that I think pick it to the post. However, Ascendancy is fucking amazing. Rain is one of the best openers ever. Pull Harder on the Strings of Your Martyr is brilliant. A Gunshot to the Head of Trepidation, like lights to flies. This album bangs so much and has so much good shit in it. It's unbelievable that they were able to put out something this good that early in their careers and then weirdly follow it up with some lesser watered down stuff, but then bring it back, especially with album number 2. So, coming in at number 2, we have What the Dead Men Say. Trivium's brand new release, and oh my god, I think the world is unanimous in saying that this album has blown Trivium back up. This is Ascendancy 2.0 for multiple reasons. It sounds like Ascendancy, and also it's blown Trivium up the way Ascendancy did. No one can deny this album. I don't think I've heard anyone say a bad thing about this album. What the Dead Men Say is brilliant. It's got everything you want from Trivium. It's got hard, fast and heavy. It's got technical. It's got melody. It's got some batshit crazy ideas going on, but it's also got nice simplistic things going on to give you a bit of a break. I mean, goddamn, name me a song on the album that's bad. But like, standouts, The Catastrophist, What the Dead Men Say, The Defiant, Amongst the Shadow and the Stones, Bending the Arc to Fear, Sickness Unto You, and let's not forget awesome songs like Bleed Into Me. The only gripe I have with this album is that it ends with The Ones We Leave Behind, which in my opinion is the weakest track on the album. And as I previously said, I love when an album closes in the best way. I love when you start an album right and then you bookmark it at the end with something that's just stupid. Honestly, I would have preferred if they ended it with something like Amongst the Shadow and the Stones, like Sickness Unto You, like Bending the Arc to Fear. I really would have preferred that than The Ones We Leave Behind. I really think The Ones We Leave Behind belongs on the Sin of the Sentence, and I also really believe that The Ones We Leave Behind has so many nods to the Sin of the Sentence. Like there are so many, like it opens the way the Sin of the Sentence does, and then there are riffs in there that are reminiscent of Betrayer, Sever the Hand and stuff. There is a lot of things on there, and in fact I'm probably going to do a video basically comparing the Easter eggs from The Ones We Leave Behind to all the songs in the Sin of the Sentence. But it's that one thing that stops this album from being their greatest. Well, there's something else as well. And that something else is Shogun. No one can deny Shogun. It's the Trivium album. It's Trivium at their fucking peak. And they're getting back, they've got back there now. Shogun and What the Dead Men Say are pretty much on the same fucking level at this point. Like, you cannot deny Shogun. It's unbelievable. It really fucking is. And there are so many great songs on there. Kurusde Gomen, torn between Scylla and Charybdis. Into the mouth of hell we march. Throes of perdition. He who spawned the furies. Like Callisto, a star in heaven. And more importantly, that final track. That 12-minute long mindfuck that is Shogun. Trivium know how to start this album. They know how to finish it. And everything in between is just fucking perfect. So there we have it, everyone. They are my Trivium albums ranked in order from worst to best. Let me know what your list would be like. Let me know what your favourite tracks are. And let me know where you rank What the Dead Men Say. Because I really rank it up there as one of their best albums ever. And I cannot wait for them to continue. So thanks everyone so much for watching. I've been the Mouth from the South. You have been wonderful people. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.